Hey man, say man, this is your boy A Man back at it again for more content. So this is a video that I've been meaning to make for a while now, and that is the situation with Jaylen Brown and the Boston Celtics that eventually led the Celtics trading away Jaylen Brown to their rival in the Philadelphia 76ers in one of the most shocking trades in NBA history. To give you some context, Jaylen Brown had the best season of his career where he was a top 6 MVP candidate, averaged 29 points per game, 7 rebounds, 6 assists while shooting 48% from the field, 35% from 3, and 80% from the charity stripe. This season he had led to him being considered as a top 10 player in the league, but of course there is a caveat to his season, such as the dynamic between him and Jason Tatum was going to be an ongoing issue to who should be the first option on this team. And I knew something like this was going to happen, but I didn't realize it's going to cause tensions between him and the front office, particularly Brad Stevens, who we all know is the president of basketball operations for the Celtics. The fact that things gone so sour between the two that Brad Stevens actually pulled the trigger and traded Jaylen Brown. Can you think about that? My question is, why this quick? Why get rid of your superstar player who had the best year of his career for a 36-year-old past his prime Paul George, who has 2 years left of his $220 million deal he signed a couple years back? Especially you traded with your arch rival. But I really know what actually went between him and the Celtics organization is deeper than y'all think. So without further ado, I'm going to discuss the underlying truth between why Brad Stevens decided to trade Jaylen Brown. But first, make sure y'all subscribe. I post NBA content. Turn on post notifications so you don't miss anything new from my channel. That out of the way, stay tuned and enjoy the video. So I'm going to give y'all the full-on outlook of the deal. The Celtics traded Jaylen Brown for Paul George, 2 first-round picks and 2 second-round picks. Not gonna lie, guys, this is a horrific trade. Like, this is such a bad trade. Like, that's the best you can get out of this trade. I mean, this is up there with the likes of a Luka Doncic and surely the Paul George trade to the Clippers many years back. The fact that it got to this point where they were so desperate to get rid of Jaylen Brown that it came to this trade is absolutely OD. But why is that? It's because Jaylen Brown is a different type of an NBA player. And the reason being is because this dude may be the smartest player academically and very outspoken. He can sense something off better than most NBA players, and he is not afraid to speak out about it. And in this situation, Jaylen Brown honestly has been disrespected by this organization. Even when he came in a year before Jason Tatum, the Celtics pretty much gave Tatum the reins for this team. Even when Jaylen Brown was the leading scorer for the Celtics postseason run to the Eastern Conference Finals without Kyrie in 2018, would have gone to the finals if it weren't for the guy that wears number 23 for Cleveland, but that's besides the point. Brown the following year was relegated to a bench player when Kyrie and Gordon Hayward were back from injuries. Hell, going into the 2019 offseason, Danny Ainge, who was the GM during that time, reluctantly gave him that 4-year, $150 million extension, and even then, it felt like it was less like an honor, but more like a reluctant admission from the front office because they couldn't find a better trade package for Jaylen Brown. Of course, in 2020, JB broke out and became a star, averaging 26 and 2 assists while shooting 48% from the field, 38% from 3, and 72% from the free throw line. Yet he was snubbed for an all-star appearance, particularly Kemba Walker got the nod over Jaylen Brown that year. And now, as it stands, making this video, Kemba Walker is currently out of the league. Crazy to think about. Even though this guy put up star caliber numbers for the next couple of years, it eventually helped Boston to make 3 more conference finals appearances and 2 finals appearances, and eventually win a championship and win finals MVP in 2024 while outplaying his teammate Jason Tatum in both finals. He still gets undermined of how he can't go with his left, and even got to a point where he's not even a second option on a championship team. It doesn't deserve that $300 million supermax extension. And of course, more trade rumors of him being deal with Kevin Durant or Bradley Beal. And even year that he won Finals MVP, this guy got snubbed by his own teammate and Derek White for the Olympics. Can you believe that? With all the narratives of him not deserving the supermax extension, him not being able to go with his left, or him not being a second option on a championship team, he has put all that to bed with leading Boston to a championship while winning Finals MVP, but put up a MVP level year 2 years later and led Boston to the second seed without Jason Tatum for the majority of last year. For him to have a season like that, for the Celtics to dump him off this offseason to their rival in exchange for little to nothing, like a washed up Paul George and a couple pick swaps, like, come on now. Now, there's other factors that go into this trade, such as the Celtics front office not trying to deal with the second apron, and they have been in this situation before where they have 5 players having over $100 million contracts, especially having 2 of your guys making over 50 to 60 mil per year, is pushing towards the second apron 2 years ago, and they had to deal Kristaps Porzingis and Jrue Holiday out just to free up some cap space. But this situation is now different because they literally showery dumped their franchise cornerstone Jaylen Brown, who had the best year of his career, was an MVP candidate at one point, a top 10 player in the league, and a Finals MVP. Like, you can't do that. You can't salary dump a player of this caliber for this little. This is just nonsense. Also, there's something that needs to be noted, that the Celtics did try to pursue Giannis before their rival Heat grabbed him at the last second. But still, it doesn't excuse Brad Stevens for making this deal. Like I said, guys, I knew something like this was going to happen with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. Since Brown had this exceptional year, he has full autonomy to talk his talk, especially him having a Twitch audience as well. He has the receipts to tell y'all how good he is, not just last year, but for the last couple of years. But the last stream he had after him and his team blew a 3-1 lead to their rival, funny enough, this dude hopped on his stream and dropped a line like, "This was my favorite year." Yeah, this was my favorite year. I mean, honestly, Jaylen didn't need to say that in the scene, because that, of course, inadvertently caused more of a rift between him and the Celtics organization. Plus, everything he has to go through to prove to this organization they still don't get the benefit of the doubt. Something was going to go down later on. You know, the most ironic thing of this, guys, is that a wide majority of superstar duos in history really ended their run together at a very sour note. An obvious case to point out is the Shaq and Kobe dynamic, where Kobe was glad the Lakers front office got Shaq out of LA and to Miami. Or KD and Russell Westbrook in OKC, where KD did you know what. The LeBron and Kyrie dynamic, where Kyrie didn't want to be Bron's sidekick anymore. Hell, even the KD-Steph duo ended in a very sour note, as KD tore his Achilles during the finals, and the beef between him and Draymond Green really caused a rift and led KD leaving in free agency in 2019. And hell, another KD duo, KD and Kyrie, ended in a very sour note in Brooklyn, and I can go on and on. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum clearly had a run. Both of them have the most playoff wins within the last 6 or 7 years, made it to 5 conference finals appearances, and made it to 2 finals, and won 2 years ago. This is one of the better duos in history if we really look at the totality of what they've done within the last 8 years together. And the Celtics, particularly Brad Stevens, thought it was a good idea to salary dump Brown to their rival. And this is not the first time the Celtics have done this. They did this with KG and Paul Pierce, even though these guys were past their primes, and the trade eventually got them JB and JT in the process. Even though it was a cold move by the front office, seeing how both of these guys wanted to retire in Boston, but it was a right move in the long run. But other decisions they've made were just egregious, especially what they did to Ray Allen, letting him walk in free agency in 2012 and eventually win another ring with Miami the year following, and Isaiah Thomas in 2017, where he put up an MVP caliber year as a 5'9" point guard and took this Celtics team to the conference finals since 2012 during that time. And despite him dealing with a hip injury, Danny Ainge decided to trade Thomas to Cleveland in exchange for Kyrie, even though during that time Kyrie was considered a better player than Thomas, was a top 10 player in the league during that time. His 2 years in Boston, he never made it past the second round, and in 2018, the Celtics did make the conference finals, but it was without him on the court. And you can safely say that they were a better team collectively than Kyrie. And then years later, they had Kemba Walker, who was an all-star, and even though he had very suspect playoff performances in the bubble, the Celtics dumped his salary along with a first-round pick to OKC. And by the way, this was the first move that Brad Stevens made as GM, and then fast forward to the Jaylen Brown trade. The Celtics organization treats franchise stars the way an investment firm treats stock. They don't see loyalty, grit, or finals MVPs. They see asset management. If you wear green, you're either an untouchable crown jewel or you're a beautifully timed cash out opportunity ready to happen. Hell, even Jason Tatum is not even that safe, because if he has another injury like he did last year, then the Celtics will not hesitate, treating him like an asset they can use to build in the future. Honestly, no big name star is safe in Boston, and I can see a world where no big name superstar free agent wants to sign with Boston. Hell, even Boston knows they can't sign a big time superstar with cap space, especially how the CBA has been like within the last 3 years. The era of the big name free agent signing is practically dead across the entire NBA. Boston knows they were never going to build the next era by convincing a superstar to sign there outright. The new NBA is entirely about asset accumulation and matching salaries, which is exactly what flipping Jaylen for Paul George and a mountain of draft picks was about. And looking at, well, not a mountain of draft picks, let's be honest, and looking at this Celtics roster after this trade, I really don't know how they're going to work this out, because this Celtics roster is not promising whatsoever. I don't even know how they're going to make it out of the second round, let alone use Paul George as an asset to get a big name player. Meanwhile, for Philly, especially what they've done that postseason, beating Boston, making it to the second round unexpectedly, and now you get Jaylen Brown to pair with Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, VJ Escom, and all the promising young guys on the roster. And I definitely see a world where Philly could make a run to the conference finals if assuming Joel Embiid is healthy. So this trade is so egregiously bad. Getting rid of a superstar for this little in exchange is a salary dump, and it deserves a deep dive in and of itself. Just like with the Luka Doncic trade and even the Paul George trade, even though the trade was 2 weeks ago, there is still deep discussions regarding this trade on social media, and it deserves to be, because if the Celtics can't flip something good out of this situation, then this will go down as one of the worst trades in the history of the NBA. So that does it for this video, people. Let me know on the comment section below on this video. Do y'all think that Brown will thrive in Philly? Hell, is this trade one of the worst in NBA history? Like I said, let me know, and be sure to subscribe to the channel for more NBA content, and turn on post notifications, and smash the like button, especially if you enjoyed this video. And that is all. This is your boy A-Man, sign out.